Huh? Oh no! The draft is calling his name. Huh? Huh? Hello? Ma'am? Madam? In the kitchen, something exciting is happening? What the heck is that? How's it going, everybody? HoodlaMutt here with, let's see if I can pronounce this. Selene Apoptosis? Apoptosis? This was a little free visual novel that I happened to come across during one of my perusings on Steam. And this was a while back when I saw it, and I figured it might be interesting to at least do one video on it, just to check it out. It is a free game, so any of you could go check it out for yourselves. The main reason I have been a little bit apprehensive to play is, well, quite apparent right in this region. This is scaring me a little bit. Even though it said that there is an 18+ patch which you can pay for, which I did not pay for, but this still does not make me feel good about that decision. I feel like I might get pranked. But that aside, we're gonna hope that that isn't the case. That this is gonna be totally fine, right? It's also supposed to be, I think, like a psychological horror, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and it just seemed interesting from my recollection. So we're just gonna jump into it, I guess, and check it out. The sound was driving him crazy. Starting off ain't easy. I got a little achievement for that. Okay. What is this music? It sounds like creepypasta music. What the heck? Interesting. Oh, I think it is. I think this is royalty-free creepypasta music. Ha! What the heck? Okay. Monotonous, muffled thuds were resonating throughout his head with dull pain. The pain wasn't too strong, nothing unbearable. But that sound, more than anything else, he wanted the sound to just stop. Thud. Nevertheless, the knocking sounds didn't end. He knew it well enough, because he himself was their origin. Thud. 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 Oh, this is a depressing room. The noise of his slipper was hitting the rear of his desk over and over again, like a huge fluffy moth frantically ramming against the window glass. Oh yeah, that sucks. That's annoying. He wanted plenty of things. He wanted to pay the rent in time this month, not to displease his landlady again. He wanted to finish the script, at least in draft, because a draft is way better than nothing. Something one can work with. That is very true, by the way. Any of you, like, amateur wannabe writers out there that you're trying to start doing, you gotta get something down. My teacher, I had a screenwriting teacher, he would always tell us you just gotta vomit onto the page. If you vomit onto the page and just get something on to, like, get the white space off and just have words to work with, it's so much easier to go back and edit and then start actually adding and taking away from it, because it's so much harder to just look at a blank page. So this is so true. Dude, we're already heading off to a base start, so I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling like we're not gonna get pranked, maybe? Hopefully? Yeah? Okay. And he wanted to sleep. No. Not quite that. The problem, a serious one, was that he didn't really want to sleep. He leaned back in his chair and rubbed his shut eyes, pressing his eyeballs until dancing pale lights appeared. Oh yeah, I know that. I know that effect. That's interesting. I've never really heard anybody else talk about that. But have you guys ever done that too? Like where you press your eye too hard and you start seeing like blue sparkles almost? Totally know what they're talking about. That's funny. Of course, he took the sleeping pills. When a healthy 8-hour sleep gives way to a not-so-healthy 5-hour nap, then a 3-hour eyes-shut break, and then goes away entirely, you stop thinking how this will impact your liver. You just want to sleep. You need to sleep. Especially if you have already taken an advance payment for the first part of a gig, and the freaking text won't just write itself. However, if the text could in fact write itself somehow, he would probably lose his job. Yo, they have AI for that. I mean, no one has to know, right? No one has to know. I mean, anyone finds out, you'll start a feud on Twitter, but I mean, aside from that, or X, whatever, who cares? He didn't have any illusions in this regard. As soon as neural networks get smart enough, he and dozens of other ghostwriters will vanish into morning mist of a new era in literature. Yeah, true. He didn't have much of a name or connections, only some skill and a knack to meet the deadlines for the most part. The client was content with this, and he was content with the pay. So everything went well until the pills started failing him. Blam! This time, the tic got too strong. His foot jerked and hit the board with very noticeable pain. Seemed like he even heard his toes crack. He muttered a short curse and rolled the chair away from the desk. Although he knew, now that all his attention was not fixed on the blank text file, the tic should go away all by itself. It's funny how the consciousness is detached from the body. He often thought about it, especially while having insomnia. It's like you're working as a team, but your partner starts pulling something. You seem to have common goals, but when all hell breaks loose, you are suddenly left alone with it, and your partner is more interested in watching the fire than fighting it. In the end, you have no idea what's on his mind. Well, at least there won't be any more knocking. Good. A small window at the far side of the room flashed white for a moment. I also have to say, it's kind of interesting. This is, I think, the first visual novel I've played where we're not inside the head of the main character. I think maybe Milk Inside a Bag of Milk or Outside a Bag of Milk, both of them, I think, might have been where there was an outside narrator, but that one's so, like, just abstract and esoteric. It's like, it's not even worth, like, that's just, that kind of makes sense, I feel like, even if it was, but I feel like we still were in the girl's head of that game. I can't remember. I know in the second game we were. I don't remember for the first, but anyway, I was trying to think. I think this is the first one I can remember that we're not inside of a protagonist's head, so. Oh, Planetarian might have been that way too. I can't remember now. Anyway, just kind of feels different because I'm so used to Chaos Head. A storm? Now that he thought about it, the day was hot. The viscous, stagnant air still filled the room. This, and the barely audible squeak of an overheated network filter, he became sensitive to such things when he couldn't sleep for a long time, made the entire room seem to vibrate a little. Like a cocoon that's about to hatch. Actually, that did sound like a good line. He rolled back to the table and was about to write that thought down, but paused over the keyboard. He remembered the individual words and the general idea, but the sentence had already slipped away. Aw, dang, that sucks. This time, the white light seemed to fill the entire room. Then, a thunder followed, resembling a low-gut roar of something large and famished. Good Lord. He called to God way too often for someone who never goes to church. Hey, that's a start. That's a start, man. We got to get you toward God. Besides, you don't have to go to church. You can have a relationship with Jesus outside of church. It's good to not forsake the assembly of God, as the Bible says. But this is a start. You start talking to God. That's all right. That's all right. That's a place to start. Although I think I think you might have some sort of psychosis. That's what I'm starting to figure out. I think he has, I mean, well, obviously the insomnia, but I think there's something more here. I have a feeling. We might be dealing with a schizo, I don't know. Gosh dang it, dude. We were already playing a freaking game with a schizo, freaking Takumi, and in Chaos Head. We don't need more schizos to be. Just a habit he inherited from his mother. A furious patter of raindrops pounded on his window. There's no way he could work like this. Not now. But maybe it's for the best. Since he was a little boy, he slept well during the storms. Had to seize the moment. He groped for a packer of sleeping pills. It's nice to have your working tools at hand. Popped the pills into his mouth, and opened the window to hear the steady patter of the rain. Then, he went to the bed and collapsed on top of the bed sheets, his clothes still on. Alright. Just take a break, man. He could tell by the sound the water had flooded the windowsill and was trickling down to the floor. He decided that was a small price to pay. He felt a pleasant chill of cloth beneath his cheek. Ah, dude, ain't nothing better, man. The wavering haze was gradually fading from the room. Yet, the sleep did not come. He tried to take off his shoes, change position, take a pillow, cover himself, throw the pillow away to the other side of the room. Nothing helped. He just laid there with his eyes closed, and though his closed eyelids felt heavy, he knew it was an illusion. All in vain. An illusion? Come on, dude. Come on, man. I don't want to play Chaos Head anymore, dude. I've been playing it for like a year and a half now, dude. Come on, man. He's not sleeping. He can't sleep. Huh? Oh no! The draft is calling his name. The freaking writer's curse. Thud. At first he thought he was imagining things. Thud. 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 Sometimes the knocking paused, but it never stopped completely. The sound came from below, from the first floor. Someone was banging insistently on the door. And with each thud, he could feel the rage building up like a tight knot of pain around his stomach. He is trying to sleep. Is it really that hard to just leave a man alone? At least at night. At least in the house that he pays for, specifically so that nobody would bother him? He opened his eyes, easy, just as he thought, sprang to his feet, and ran down the stairs. Okay. Something was boiling inside him. Halfway to the door, he took a turn to the cupboard and pulled out an old baseball bat. Really? Okay. I mean, sure. You also could just say, who is it? You know, and then just keep the door locked, I guess. But, okay. He wasn't likely to actually use it. He asked himself if he would, as he reached for the door handle. No, he certainly wouldn't. But he's angry, and he wants the night guest to learn it. What the heck? The rain was still pouring, or rather it was actually getting stronger. As his mother would say, and the floodgates of heaven tore open. His mother used to say a lot of things. That was on the list of reasons why he had to rent this overpriced house where anyone could start banging the door in the middle of the night. A cat, for example. What the heck? Huh? Huh? Hello? Ma'am? Madam? Can I help you? The frick are you doing here? Huh? Okay. Wait, is that a tail? Wait, what the frick? Oh yeah, those are ears. What the frick? Okay. He said it again. This time aloud. A cat was standing on his porch. She looked like a purebred British Shorthair in all respects, except for the color. Aside from the smoky gray head, it seemed as if she was dropped into a vat of white paint, while her lower part was dipped into a black one. Wet fur clung to her small, rather skinny body, dripping with water. I don't know if you've recognized, this is not a cat. This is a CATGIRL. So a little different. He might actually be a schizo, dude. He might actually be schizophrenic. Uh-oh. The cat could have probably slipped into the house as soon as the door opened, but instead, she froze, as if waiting for the host to say something. Let her in or refuse. The fact that he thinks it's an actual cat at the current moment doesn't make me feel good about the situation, but, well, I mean, I feel like a mob will come after me if I don't let her in. I feel like all of weebdom will just come and burn my house down, so I think we have to do that. I don't think there's a choice to refuse at this point, so it's fine. Sure, I wish you would say something, but that's fine. Sure, come on in. Raining cats and dogs. Ha 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 ha. Funny. It was cold outside. Much colder than one might think. He didn't feel angry anymore. All right, come in. He stepped aside, freeing the doorway. The cat didn't move. So, you don't want to, huh? He was about to say, fine then, close the door, go back to the second floor, and lie in a suffocating half-sleep until morning. But he finally realized what was wrong. The bat. He threw it away, aiming for the sofa, but missed. The bat clattered on the floorboards. The cat followed it into the darkness with her round yellow eyes. The sounds didn't frighten her. He sighed. I won't hurt you. Come in if you want. The cat raised her eyes at him. For the first time, he actually saw, and couldn't help admiring, how big and yellow they were. The cat's pupils were also large and incredibly round, like 2 full moons in an eclipse. Just as he was about to close the door for the second time, the cat murmured something and fluttered into the house, butting him with her wet head as she passed by. He smiled. Strictly speaking, at this very moment, his line had ended. If the landlady found out, and he was sure she would, he'd have to look for a new place to live. There are plenty of lonely, bored seniors in the neighborhood, he thought. And they only have 2 hobbies, observing and reporting. The subject and the recipient aren't that important. Well, it's fine. Maybe he'd leave the suburbs. Maybe he'd move into an apartment, since him getting privacy didn't work out anyway. The rain was getting stronger still. He closed the door. Okay. The cat explored the house with cautious curiosity, stopping by different objects as if trying to understand their purpose. Watching that was amusing. So amusing, he even forgot about the stain. When he remembered, it was already spread out, a dark spot of water in the place where the cat clung to him. He pulled the wet cloth away from his body and stared at it blankly for a moment, then almost groaned aloud. The cat was soaked, so she probably got a lot of dirt in the house. He decided not to turn the light on. He had enough disappointment for the night. Instead, he went to get a towel. All right, come here. The cat turned her head to the voice and froze in place. She was examining the TV, a lifeless black mirror of a plasma panel in a lacquer frame that he hadn't even touched since moving in. In the reflection, the cat herself looked black. She gave him a long, appraising look, and then, with a sudden eagerness, trotted towards him, deftly avoiding the obstacles. He was surprised. Maybe the cat decided he was more interesting than the TV. Or maybe she acted out of respect for her host's will. Anyway, he felt grateful. Finally, someone he could actually negotiate with. Suddenly, he thought of how nice it would be to crawl under the blanket with a warm ball of fur. It would surely have helped him to fall asleep. As a child, he had a cat. Gray, huge, brash, immensely ugly, and equally beloved. He often fell asleep hugging him. The cat's name was Timo, and he faded into a June night many years ago. Timo? The frick? As in League of Legends Timo? Okay. The cat bumped her wet head against him once more. He thought that cats usually shaked off the water themselves. Usually. But perhaps not always. Hey, easy there. You're all wet. The cat looked up at him with her moon-shaped eyes and murmured something again. Do something about it, then. Okay, it's just a cat, right? We're just schizophrenic, it's fine. We're just schizophrenic. He smiled and got to work. He had to squeeze the fur thoroughly, so the towel soon turned into a wet rag. Should he bathe the cat? Doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's a cat, yo. It's a stray cat. Maybe. Maybe, or it's a person, or I don't know. But no, it's fine. Never mind. This can wait. The cat's fur wasn't very long, but it was fluffy enough to hide her sunken sides. He was once again surprised at how skinny she was. He was even more surprised when he noticed the collar with a small locket. So you do have a home. In this case, you also have some crappy owners, I must say. The cat curled up on a wet towel in his lap, slowly dozing off. He could feel that familiar lulling vibe emerging inside her. Suddenly, he put the towel with the cat on it away. I should get you some food. Let me see what I have. He got up, with just a tad bit difficulty, nothing he couldn't handle. Still, his body felt unusually heavy and unwieldy. He had to give the cat something to eat. He'll lie down afterward, and then... heck, maybe he'll even fall asleep. Maybe he should have gotten a cat from much earlier. A ball of fur with a pair of moon eyes and a velvety voice that you could always negotiate with. And that's about it. That's kind of funny. He could have avoided all that suffering if only he had a cat. Interesting, okay. Get some tuna! The kitchen blurred before his eyes. He got to the refrigerator and opened it, squinting from the light and leaning on the doorway harder than he was supposed to. If the landlady was around at the time, she would have told him exactly so. Don't lean on the door. After all, this is her house and her refrigerator, and everything should be neat and tidy in case she has to move new tenants in. Perhaps the landlady would have even warned him about the milk. The milk itself is completely harmless. Unless, of course, you're allergic to lactose. But there's a special kind of lactose-free milk, right? What matters is the bottle. Bottles, much like cats, can vary greatly. but this particular one was made of glass. If only the landlady was here, she would have probably told him not to touch the bottle, because he's falling on the floor, and the bottle might break, and then the milk will spill, and he'll have nothing to feed the nice cat he found. Or rather, it was her who had found him, and very timely, because he was lying on the floor. What the frick? Wait, what? Did he freaking pass out? Is he a narcoleptic? What was that? He had been lying there for some time, and would have been lying still if he hadn't felt the light touch of something hot and rough on his cheek. It was almost like a dream. Although, of course, comparing sleep with fainting isn't quite correct, no matter how you look at it. The floor beneath him was surprisingly hard, cold, and wet. Oh yeah, he probably just couldn't sleep for so many days, right? And then he passed out because of that? That's probably what it is. He felt all of those three qualities clearly, and was afraid to imagine what would happen if he tried to move. But he had to move, one way or another. At least to see what's up, because something hot and rough was still sliding up his cheek, gradually creeping up to his ear. He felt a warm breath, and then a cautious bite. Huh? Ouch! He jumped on the spot. A shadow rushed to the side, and then calmly began to lap milk from a puddle. What the fr- Okay, alright, okay. I don't know if I can show that. Yo, calm down. What the frick? Is it actually a cat, though? Or are you schizophrenic? Okay, alright, okay. Cool. Weird. The cat. What are you doing? The cat looked at him briefly and licked her lips. No need to be this dramatic. You were lying around idly, and you're not even a cat, see? Besides, you're soaked in milk. Well, you're right. I let you down and had to get my punishment. What the frick? Hello? I let myself down, too. Good lord. Now there's cleaning to do until the next Advent, like his mother would have said. I'll go get a rag. Stay here and don't ruin what's left of the kitchen while I'm gone. The cat watched him go with a skeptical look. Did she just freaking backhand compliment us? What the frick was that? Aren't you the one who's been causing all the trouble so far? When he returned with the bucket, the cat was gone. Okay. What the frick? What is this music? The Theater of presents a How to Bake. We don't know what it is, apparently. In the kitchen, something exciting is happening? What the heck is that? Sock puppet? Take. You will need a blade. Did you take the pills? Scratch out the entrails. The Egyptians widely used honey for embalming and preserving food. Later, their recipes were adopted by the Greeks. What is happening? I think we actually are insane. It was a joke initially, but I actually think we are crazy. Okay. Also add a teaspoon of apricot jam, a walnut, and a little cinnamon. Before baking, put a teaspoon of butter on the top of... Microwave for 5 to 7 minutes at full power. Don't listen to them scream. What the frick, a head? Whoa! Bon appetit. What the frick? Hello? What was that? Okay. Was that us writing? What was that? The next time he saw her was in a few days. Or maybe in a week. What do you mean? We let the cat in. There's only so many places it could hide, right? He always had a bad sense of time, especially when he was immersed in his work. He still couldn't sleep, but at least he was making some progress with the script. It was a narrative game project, as the customer called it, but actually meant do whatever you have to do to finish it on time, else forget about the payment. And so he did, although he was resentful, and that got in the way a lot. The reason of those feelings was the cat. He knew how stupid that was, but he couldn't help it. He forgave her for the bite almost immediately. That wasn't the thing. He was bitter about how the cat ran away, despite him trying his best to take care of her. She was nowhere to be found in the house, so he immediately thought about an open window on the second floor. Oh yeah. Maybe he should have closed it. He dwelled on that thought for a while. He even approached the window at some point, but in the end, he decided not to do anything about it. He was hoping, and there was no shame in that. It's not the same as you turn up 10 and start eyeing girls. The cat would come back. I think the native language of this is not English, because I'm noticing there's a lot of typos and stuff like that, and I'm having a hard time reading it at certain times, so I wonder if this was like maybe a French project? Technically it said that in the voice options that there was Japanese and English, so maybe Japanese? I don't know. I actually don't know. So, but I don't think it's their first language is English, because it's definitely not being translated incredibly well, so. And she did. He had just settled himself on a sofa with some book. Some was the word, as he couldn't remember a thing from the cover, even though he read the title several times. The symbols were floating before his eyes, and of course, he couldn't make out a word. No wonder, considering he didn't sleep at all. When you think about it, it was surprising he could write it in this state. Either way, he was barely following the book, so he wasn't upset at all when a fluffy head butted his hand. Oh, see, she is still in here somewhere. I knew it. Oh no, he said it just came back. So how did it come back? Did he open the door again? What? Okay. Hey, I'm trying to read here. Okay. Chill. And you don't seem to be getting anywhere. What does it matter anyways? Better scratch me right here. So you're a cat patter, huh? He complied. You were absent for so long. Oh, he just... Okay, so this is the first time he's seen... So it doesn't bother you that she was just chilling in the house somewhere? Dude, he's straight up... Yeah, he's crazy. He crazy, man. I thought you wouldn't be back. Then why didn't you close the window upstairs? There's a big difference between expectations and hopes. He had learned that well. Why did you leave? Did I do anything wrong? The cat stayed silent. Bitterness or happiness? Interesting choices. Sure, happiness, I guess. No reason to be bitter over that. I mean, it's a cat. You let it in, and whatever. I mean, for all you know, it could be like crapping in a corner that you didn't know about, and that's where it's been this whole time. So, I mean, that's something to maybe be bitter about. But we're going to assume that it's just been kind of hanging out, and so we're going to be happy. All right. It doesn't matter that much. I'm happy to have you back. After all, there was no point in his grudge from the start. Nobody gains anything by holding on to small grudges and staying blind to what they really feel. He wouldn't have won anything. It's not a dang lottery. What? Okay. The cat rubbed against his arm again. He put the book down and gently placed her on his lap. The locket around her neck, unexpectedly cold, touched his skin. Then he got a hunch. Did you go home? I have no home. Well, someone must be caring about you if they put that collar on. Sometimes a collar is just a collar. Don't you know? This time it was him who stayed silent. The cat buried her head in his stomach. Oops! Wait. Is there a... Oh, there's not a thing, is there? Wait, return. Oh, there we go. Want me to take it off? No. It is mine now. Besides, it's easier this way if I catch someone's eye on the streets. He nodded, because, if you think about it, that really was a reasonable choice. The cat's fur was thick and smooth, very pleasant to the touch. He wanted to bury his face in it, find out what it smelled like, what she smells like. All right, you need to chill, because this is very possibly just an actual cat. You need to actually chill. You need to calm down right now, bruh. Do you have a name? Of course. Everything has a name. And what's yours? The cat looked at him carefully with her bright yellow eyes, as if saying, take a guess. But she didn't actually say anything. On her locket there was a small engraving, a crescent moon that was dimly shining in the pale light coming out of the window. I don't know how to pronounce this, so we're going to say Selene, because that seems correct. Selene. Selene. Selene, that's not the way I would have said it. Okay, so it's Selene. So that's what it, okay, so Selene. Okay, I figured it was going to be pronounced more like in like a Japanese character way, but I guess it wasn't. The cat looked up at him, and her pupils flickered into 2 full moons in an eclipse. Then, she rubbed against his arm one last time, and stood up, stretching, arching her back. Don't close the window on the 2nd floor. I won't. She left, but the name stayed with him, in and around the house. Okay. Selene. So hummed the glass, white in the moonlight. So whispered the long shadows of the branches outside the window. Focus on the name or doesn't matter? It's just a name, yo. I mean, do it matter though? I don't think that matters all that much, personally. I mean, it's a name. So I'm gonna say it don't matter. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a name. Selene. He wasn't sleeping, but his house was, and its lullaby was woven with one single word. Oh, we can't help but focus on it, it seems like. Interesting. He had a suspicion concerning rats for a while already. At times, something scratched inside the walls, and he became sensitive to such things when he could not sleep for a long time. Faced with these symptoms the last time, he took a flashlight and some stick, and then circled the house for a long time, tapping the walls here and there. He had no idea how to deal with rats. At least, that was what he had thought, until he remembered how his mother used to handle this. After Timo had vanished, poison became the weapon of choice when it came to dealing with rats. The kind that should be kept away from small children and pets. Having remembered this, he went out to the hardware store and filled the cart with colorful packages. Then, he thoroughly strewn the whole house with bright, deadly pellets that crunched under his feet when he had went to get coffee. After a while, the sounds stopped. Yet, he could hear them again now. Something was scratching. It's been a long time, so no wonder. Those pests always come back. That's what his mother would say, and this time he'd agree completely with her on the matter. He considered his options. He had no poison left, and he could not go out to restock. He was completely immersed in his work, and although he was now much closer to the end of his script than to its beginning, there was still much to be done. Although he couldn't sleep, he still could work, and it would be stupid to lose pace just to go shopping. Besides, he now had a cat. He didn't really own her, of course, but she came to see him, and he always made sure that she ate well. He had to care about her safety. No, poison was not an option. Of course, he considered asking the cat to do the job, but every time she came, the thought completely vanished from his mind. They had other things than rats to talk about. He told her a lot about his work, and sometimes read what he wrote. The cat rarely gave any comments, but never refused to listen. He liked that about her. Not only that, of course. Take her scent, for example, please. Please stop. Please don't do this. She smelled of warm fur, dust, and something sweet. This may sound simple, but the smell made his heart ache with sadness and unbearable love. It was the smell of a warm June night in which Timo had vanished. And also many, many beloved cats before and after him. Okay, well that's not so bad then. This cat, however, was special. He could feel it. Although he couldn't articulate, couldn't find the right words. What a writer you are if you can't find the words. That's what he would say if he was talking to himself. But he never did such things, even if he couldn't sleep for a long time. At least you can work, said the computer screen, flickering in the dark. But he couldn't, as at that very moment, he heard the thing again. Something scratched, and this time the sound was different. He swung around and looked behind him, then swallowed hard, staring into the darkness. What the frick? Suddenly, his head cleared up. Something is coming, said the computer screen. Huh? Careful, said the flat white ceiling lamp. It should be downstairs, said the crumpled bed. Downstairs. The first floor was dark, veiled in slumber, just like the rest of the house. There's no point in turning on the light if you're going to stay in the same room, typing all night, and all morning, and all day, and all the next night too. Unless, of course, the cat comes. And even if he had to go out, he knew the house perfectly well, even bonded with it. He needed no light to get anywhere he wanted. That's why he won't turn on the lights, so the one who scratches wouldn't know that he knows. He decided so as he went down the stairs silently. Okay. The downstairs was quiet. He listened to the silence for a few minutes, but it sounded unconvincing. If something has started scratching, it won't go away that easy. He knew that for sure. Those pests always come back. He had to arm himself somehow. With the bat, for example. You're not going to kill rats with a bat, dude. That ain't happening. He still hadn't put the bat away, so it was lying somewhere in the dark living room, heavy and reliable. All he had to do was to reach it before the one who scratches gets back to his work. As he passed the kitchen, a prickly shiver ran through him, as if someone was looking at him from the darkness of the room. Or was the room itself watching him? Either way, he knew better than to turn and peer into the dark maw of the entrance. If he does, if he dares, something will come out. Something he doesn't want to know about. He found the bat under the dresser, and just in time, because the next moment, he wouldn't have been able to move. Ugh! Something was scratching in the walls, a new disgusting sound that had nothing to do with rats. To be more precise, this new sound didn't have, or couldn't have, anything to do with any living being. Ew! Squeak! 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 A painful spasm passed through his body. He crouched as if someone had hit him in the gut. And then he did something stupid. Stop it! Ew! Please stop! I can't take it anymore! What? But the nightmares don't end just because you asked politely, or because you really can't take it anymore. Huh? It felt like the voice didn't belong to him. Of course, the voice was his own, but he certainly would have never done something like that. You never talk to the one who scratches. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Ew! Gross. He'd probably bear it if there were any visible traces left. But there were none. Only the screech, here and there, as if something was trying its strength on the house, looking around for something. Looking for him. He regretted speaking out loud many, many times. It would have been better if he died quietly right here. This would have solved so many problems. Bro, I don't know what's going on, man. We just are literally in the head of a crazy person again. He was leaning against the back of the sofa and quietly whimpering when it went silent, as suddenly as it had begun. For a while, he continued sitting crooked like a giant fetus, hugging his knees and his bat, and only moved when he really believed that everything had calmed down. Ew! In that very moment, the round metal handle on the back door began to shiver. He didn't immediately realize where the sound was coming from, the soft rattle of metal and glass, but he had a clue. The transparent glass on the back door was closed by a thin polka-dotted curtain, and it trembled in rhythm with the sounds. Then the house got quiet again. Some force, the same one that beckons to the window on high floors, called him to look behind that polka-dotted curtain. He knew just one look would be enough to make him lose his mind, but the call was too hard to resist. And he hadn't slept for too long. Slowly, as if half asleep, he made his way to the door. He could see the pattern clearly now, so close it was. Small dots, each one quivering with a silent cry. Do not look. Do not look. Do not look. He yanked the curtain aside and stared into the darkness with the eyes of a man facing a truck moving at full speed. Of course, there was no one at the door. After that, he decided to always keep the bat nearby, just a scratch. What the frick? What is the sock puppet thing, man? You never got over it, did you? What the frick? Huh? Okay. All right. Back here again, I guess.
Is something wrong?
The cat was lying on his lap. It had been a long time since her last visit. Much longer than he would have liked. I don't know. Something is happening to me. And it's not insomnia. As if I'm missing something. As if something is missing inside of me. I can't explain it well enough, but maybe you know what I mean. The cat was staring at nothing in silence, something only cats can do right. Do you believe in ghosts?
Why do you ask?
I think I've run into something I can't quite explain. The cat was silent for a while.
Maybe it is a matter of perspective.
What do you mean?
That which you've lost. Those who you've lost.
I didn't get to read that, but that's fine.
The number gets bigger over time. The struggle is not to become a ghost yourself. Before time, I mean.
Something tightened in his throat.
I didn't want to upset you. I really didn't.
I don't want to lose you. Is it possible? The cat looked at him for a long moment, and her pupils, unusually large, looked as black as the moonless night.
Scratch my ear, all right? I'll sing you my best song.
I like all of your songs.
I know, but I'll sing the best one.
He ran his hand through the warm, thick fur that smelled of dust and something sweet. The cat was smiling at him, lying in his arms. He could feel, with all his being, the vibrations of another, very different world as they were lulling his body.